Welcome. So first, most important question is, has everybody got one of these lottery tickets? Is there somebody who has no lottery ticket? Perfect. So, welcome today. I just see, second. Okay, it begins. Nothing. Okay. So, thank you very much. So, it's working now. So, welcome everybody. My name is Günter Maier. I'm part of the mymuesli IT development team. I'm a developer since 2003, and my contact email address is smarthome@mymuesli for the case that somebody wants to discuss about one or other stuff or has questions or whatnot. I have our agenda for today. So we are talking about smart home, the conceptual explanation plus an example. I want to talk about the smart home components, so hardware, software, and so on. I want to show some pros and cons of smart homes, possible hazards, my use cases, a live demo, question and answers, and the lottery. Very important, lottery ticket. So, how many of you do have a smart home at home? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, not so. Some people do have. So the thing is, what is a smart home? A lot of people have something which they bought online by MediaMarkt or whatnot and think they do have a smart home. But that's not correct, because a smart home is an interaction of two things. One is the connected devices, and the other thing is the home automation itself. And if both interact together, so some connected devices, which means sensors and actors, and the home automation itself, which means you do not press a button or you do not use any smart home interactions and it does by its own, then you get the smart home. For me, my step into the smart home world was the Christmas tree. So it is about 8 years ago that we built a house, my wife and I. And of course we had a Christmas tree, and I want to light it up. So the first thing I did, of course, is the old school solution. That meant I had to crawl under the tree and had to plug the power plug in, and of course I broke some of these glass stuff and whatnot, and that was not so cool. So I decided I'm going to improve that the next year, and that was my motion. So the next year I got one of these very, very cool wireless socket solutions which you can buy in Bauhaus or whatnot. And then I felt like a sir, because it was really cool that I could sit on the couch and switch it on and switch it off. But on the same thing, it was not so cool because I had to switch it on and switch it off, which is not the case what I wanted to do. And I lost the remote control, so so I decided I'm going to improve that the next year. And the next year it was really cool because I bought one of these Fritz Alpha MDEC 200 power plugs, and they are connected to my Fritz box, and I could trigger that by my smartphone, which was really cool at the first moment. But then I realized it's not so cool because I had to trigger it by my own. I did not want to do that, so I was looking for a solution where it does it by itself, and the Fritzbox itself was not able to do that at that moment. So I decided to improve that the next year. But some weeks later, Fritzbox gonna update, and there were some of these rolling Windows time slots where you could define it should in the evening and in the morning it should do it on its own, which was really cool, and I was happy. But then I realized, especially in the winter time, then when I set up, it is going to light up at 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Somehow at 5 p.m. it was dark outside. So I switched that up, I adjusted that in the Fritzbox, and then I realized a few weeks later that at 4 p.m. it's going to get dark outside. So I adjusted it again, and I was not happy because it was not full automated. I had to adjust that in the Fritzbox. So, and other reason was when my wife and I were at cinema, Or we decided to go to bed not at 11 p.m. but at 10 p.m. It was the lighting up. So not so cool, and I decided to make that better the next year. And the next year, it was the big, big improvement because I found a smart home basis, which you see here. It's called Homey. That's the one I use. And the cool thing with a smart home solution is, yes, I can do that with my smartphone, sorry. But I can also use a switch on the wall to do that. There's a motion sensor where my Christmas tree is lighting up. Of course, I can control it with my Google Home. The smart home itself has some stuff like the timetable or weather data and so on, and I can connect third-party stuff like IFT or whatnot. And now we are talking, because now we have an infrastructure where we can really build up really cool things. Now you can imagine if you do not have a Christmas tree with just white lights, but LED lights, so you can color it up, then you could do some really cool stuff. So for example, if there is some person on the door and rings the door, you can just make it blink blue. Or if the landline phone is ringing, you can make it blinking yellow. If my daughter is crying, it's getting purple. Hello? It's getting purple. If there is some fire in the house, it's getting red. If I get a notification, WhatsApp, Telegram, whatnot, it turns green. And of course, if there's something going on with Bitcoin, I want to know that it's really immediately, so it's getting orange. So this is the stuff where I realized smart home is nothing which is really boring. It's something where you can really do whatever you want. And just to make clear, a smart home is some stuff. It's on the right side you have a sensor, so something which reacts on something. Then it reports to the smart home. The smart home reports to the actor, and then to my Christmas tree. And we have several stuff. So we have the bases, and there are a lot of bases out there. So as you can see, there are only some. We have the Magenta smart home, Homey, Pi, the Raspberry Pi, the Fritzbox itself, HomeKit with Apple TV, Luxon, whatnot. There are really thousands out there, and you really have to look hard and to see what you want. And on top of that, there are a lot of sensors, so a lot of stuff which you can use. Just a few here. So cameras, voice assistants, motion sensors. You have smartphone as well. Smoke detectors, switches, and so on. Then you have the actors. So that means what you can do. So lights, of course. Power plugs. Your TV is also a device where you can show your camera out of in front of your house or so. Of course, heating stuff and so on, notifications, whatnot. And there's software as well, because a smart home is, of course, hardware basis, but you necessarily do not need some of these. You can also buy some devices that are connected to the cloud. So it would just, it's just okay when you have something like HomeKit, Google Home, OpenHub, IFT, Pymatic, and fair whatnot to realize a smart home. But of course, there's some stuff which is not working really if you do not have a basis at home. And the last thing is the network. There's really a lot of stuff which is going in the smart home area. So you have Z-Wave, DEC, Enotion, Wi-Fi, the cable, of course, and Zigbee. And these are only the ones that are standard, or the most ones that are used. And now you see that, that there is really a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff that is confusing. So if you want to start with a smart home, there is no guide that says buy this and you're happy, or buy that and you're happy. That's not the case. So the question is, which smart home is the best? And is it the HomeKit solution? Or is it some do-it-yourself Raspberry Pi solution, for example? It could also be some closed ecosystem, for example, Medion. So Aldi has its own smart home with actors and sensors and the base and whatnot, but it's very close, so you cannot put something, some Nest or NetAtmos stuff in there. Or is it one of these thousands out in the market, which is Fritz, Homey, Luxon, or so? The answer is none. So, because it depends. It depends on many circumstances. So, do you have a house or do you have a flat? So what is your budget? How many do you want to spend on it? Do you have a lot of Apple or Google devices at home? Do you want to use open source or not? Is it important to have accessibility when you're not at home? And whatnot. So the thing is, no one can tell you. You cannot go to MediaMarkt, Saturn or so and say, sell me the best smart home you have, because they do not know. That's not a bad thing, because how do they know? How would they know? They do not know how your house is built up and so on. So it's something where actually, at this time, no one can help you really. The thing I could say is, if you buy software or hardware, just have a look that it's API driven, that's very important, and that it works with voice, because voice I think is the next big thing. Some of the pros. Comfort in everyday life. That means the garage opens when I come home, the windows open and close, the roller blinds and the rouleaus go up and down. It's very important. Save energy. There's a good blog smartricity.de, where you can read something. Save energy is really one of the most important stuff. Actually, it's not that fun to build it up. So I think it's not the first thing you think of on smart home, but it's very important. Safety, of course. Safety means fire, rain, water, storm, wind, and frost, and the alarm system. So all these are really a lot of very important stuff, and of course multimedia. These are the pros. The cons, of course, manufacturers care too little about security issues. And on top of that, many people do not have awareness of security. So there are really a lot of manufacturers that throw their products on the market. Thousands of Internet of Things devices and whatnot, and you read it every day that there is some security issue there and whatnot there. So that's really a big issue. There is no official seal of approval for smart or Internet of Things devices, for smart home devices. I think Apple has some own seal of approval, so they check what is going to HomeKit and whatnot, but there is no official one. And now it's dead. So, no. Sorry. Okay. And there is too little know-how in that area and too little qualified consultant. So that's also one of the big problems why people do not have smartphone at home. Of course, there are hazards as well. I picked 3 categories. I call them, haha, that's funny, meh, and holy shit. So let's go to the first category, that's funny. Some of you might have seen, there was a South Park, in the current South Park season, Cartman triggered Alexa devices, millions of Alexa devices in the US. And what he said is, set the alarm for 7 AM, and he said, set Harry Balls on my shopping list. And that worked, so that really worked. Millions of devices had that stuff, and I think that's funny. But there is also the meh category. In Pinneberg, there was a guy who left his flat, just made one party, and Alexa did party as well. So yeah, it really, his Spotify list, some metal stuff on full volume was so loud that the neighbors, of course, called the police. The police opened his door and plugged off Alexa. And when the guy came home, he saw that letter where he should go to the police station and get his new keys for his flat. Yeah, that's not so cool. And we have also that holy shit category. There was, I think, Aldi, which bought security cameras with security issues. So the cam was delivered with a standard password and a standard username. And you could also find that on that camera, or the registered cameras on any portal or whatnot. And you could just log in and see the camera picture. You could hear the camera sound. And you could also read out the Wi-Fi password, which was not hashed. You could get the email passwords and the FTP passwords. And on top of that, if you see the camera picture and you could imagine where that is, so you know the street or you know some building or whatnot, you could just go in front of that, take the Wi-Fi password, and you are in his network. So, holy shit. I don't know, something like that could happen. I think I have 2 slides, I think it are 10 or 12 use cases, just to let you know what can be done. This is not a standard, so it's not a heating system, or it's not, I have them as well, but I wanted to show you the more funny stuff. Open my garage geofence. So this was my first attempt. Of course, I put a geofence around my house, and as soon as I entered this geofence, my garage opened. That was some kind of cool, because it was also the situation where I just come to my house, opened the letterbox or whatnot, and just went away, so the garage was open, not so cool. Then I switched it up, I kicked off the geofence. I have an Android car radio which connects to my Wi-Fi as soon as I enter my location, and then I call the webhook as soon as there's Wi-Fi on my radio, which then open the garage, but the same outcome. So actually this is freezed at the moment, but it was some kind of cool for some days. Open the main door after pressing the button, 4.2 seconds. What is that? I took the time, how long it takes when I get out of my car and go to the front door, and these are 4.2 seconds. And I installed a switch, so as soon as I get out of the car, I press the button, and I have 4.2 seconds to go to the main door. Then there's that sound, and I can just enter. So no keys needed and so on. In the next version, there is going to be some NFC tag with my smartwatch and whatnot, but not realized yet. Then take a picture as soon as somebody rings the door. Of course, my doorbell is also connected to my smart home, and as soon as somebody is pressing that button, my smart home is talking to my Telegram API bot and sends me a picture to my Telegram with what is going on in front of my house. And I get a notification as well that there is somebody. And because it is connected to my smart home, I can also say I do not want to have notifications or the real ring sound in my house because my daughter is sleeping. So then this is cut, but I get the notification on my smartphone. This is really helpful. Google Home and Chatbot, of course, for Spotify and Smart Home as well, so I can just say open that, do that. But there is one tip. Other people than we, really look at you when you talk to your home. But if you have installed a chatbot, people are really looking at you if you chat with your house. So don't do that in public. That's some kind of weird. Fire alerts, yes. If there's a fire somewhere in the house, then of course all lights go up or light up. The roll-up lights or the rouleaus go up. I get a push notification that the kitchen is on fire, and my stereo, my sound station plays the roof is on fire, full volume, so that everybody in the house gets up and knows run. The next thing is the fountain.
In need of those fire alarms?
Yes, of course they are. Now. It was not the case before, but now they are qualified. I have a fountain in the garden which is triggered by time, sun and rain. So it starts and there's some rain, it stops. Then letter and package notification, and that really struggled me because behind my house I have a letterbox or package box. It's out of wood. And I just added some of these door or window sensors, and as soon as the postman comes and puts some package in there, I get a notification that there is a package, which makes me happy. And I also wanted that at my letterbox, but the thing is, my letterbox is out of metal, so the magnetic sensor there did not work, so I really had a hard time to find out how I can do that, and the solution is really easy. You just have to put a device in your letterbox which measures the brightness, and as soon as the postman opens that thing to throw the letters in, there is more light in my letterbox, so the lux value is higher, and of course then I get a notification that there is something in my letterbox. The bad thing about that pollution is I got that notification at before 12, so 10, 11 o'clock. And of course I forgot that as soon as I come home, and the situation was I had to go to the letterbox and I had to go to the package box and see, because I couldn't remember if the notification was today or yesterday or whatnot. So I combined that with my geofence, so the notification is parked, and as soon as I come home, then I get the notification, and I know it's worth to go to the letterbox or not. Baby dummy, schnuller notification, and that is really a weird thing. I have a daughter, and she's 1.5 years old, and when she was about 1 year old, she's a nice baby. We take her to bed about 6 p.m. and the next day at 7 a.m. she gets up. But there are sometimes situations at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. when she lost her dummy, and she started to cry. And either me or my wife had to go up and turn on the light, go to her, put the dummy, and go, leave the room. But the thing is, you have to be like a ninja, because as soon as you turn on the light, she sees me, and if I'm not very fast or not very whatnot, then she wants to be put up and playing and whatnot, but she should sleep. So someday I realized that when I switch on the light, she sees and she looks and she finds the dummy for her own and puts it in and is fine. So, the thing is, she only needs light. So I installed a sensor at her room which just measures the decibel value. And I measured my daughter, she's about 70 decibel when she's crying. So I said at 69 decibel, and when it's night, just switch on the light and 10 seconds, switch it off. And the solution was really brilliant, because we did not have to go out. And don't get me wrong, I love my daughter and I love her. But she should sleep, and this was really a cool solution. Cool. The garage closes automatically after 11 p.m. Okay, it's boring. There is a CO2 monitoring in the living room, in the room of my daughter, in our sleeping room, whatnot. So I have one of these ambilight strips behind my PC, and if, for example, in the living room the value is bad, or it gets bad, it's turning from white to orange or red, and that means open the window. Yes, then standard open or close roller blinds depending on sunrise and sunset. And wind, water, frost, and whatnot notification. And the last year it was really cold outside, and we had one of these water bottles in the garage. Not only one, it was, I think, 7 or 8. And it was so cold that all of these exploded. That was not cool, so now I get a notification, put them in your house because they're going to explode soon, and that helped me. So these are some of my stuff, and I'm going to show you a live demo. Let's see. Okay. So just where am I? Okay, that's kind of laggy. Okay. Good. So this is my smart home. It's called Homey, and as you can see, there's a dashboard with some silly notifications. You cannot turn them off. Actually, see, I don't see very well. Is it? It's really bad from the quality, isn't it? Okay. So as you can see, I have devices. So there are many devices in my smart home. I prefixed them with EG, Erdgeschoss, OG, Obergeschoss, and whatnot. These are all the devices, and for every device you can just put on and see when there was rain and something like that. And there are also some homograms that are called homograms, which is some kind of macros. So everything I told you is realized with a homogram. For example, here that fire alarm homogram, and I can't see it very good, but it says, and it's German, but okay, when there is one of these smoke detectors detects smoke, or when the webhook for this homogram is called. And the webhook is, these are 3 smart smoke detectors by, I think I have 15 not smart, which are somehow connected to my smart home. And if one of these stuff says it's fire, then there is all the lights go up, as you can see, and then here is the push notification, and here is my stereo station with Spotify. So this is the thing I told you before. Yes, and what I'm going to do is to just build a homogram with you all together. This is very easy because you just press that button, and that's really not very, because I do something and 2 seconds later it's there, sorry. So the thing is, when. Everything starts with a when. So now I can just put something. I could say, okay, when modus. That means when I'm at home, or when I'm not at home, or when I'm sleeping, or in vacation, or whatnot. I can also go for time. This would mean every day at 4 p.m. I can react on devices. That means if a smoke detector detects smoke, or if a motion sensor detects a motion. I can skip that. I can also for weather, sunset or sunrise. So webhook, which is really a good thing, because every homogram I create can be called by a webhook, and that makes me really compatible with a lot of stuff. And Abspiel means I have a button to play that homogram, and I take that because it's one of the easiest. And I also take the webhook. I have to give it a name. League of Geeks. So now here you see the URL, please don't copy that. Don't remember that. So now I have 2 actors, how I can start my homogram. And then I can say then, so it's the if this, then that stuff. What I can do is, I can just start a homogram. For example, the door. No, not the door. The gong. So the light at my hallway. So, and then that was all. So now I can just save that, give it a name, League of Geeks light, give it an icon. So let's take that star and save it. So now I have here the League of Geeks light, and when I have a look at my, I think it's here, yes. So this is a UI I've written by my own. It's for smart devices, for my wife and me. And now you see my door, which is switched off light. You can see it there. And now when I go here and just play that thing, be very fast. You see, it's lighting up. So, the thing is, you see how easy that is. So there are a lot of solutions out there. There are self-made solutions with Raspberry Pi. You have to know all the Unix commands and whatnot, or you FAME and whatnot. Stefan, you know what I'm talking about, you have FAME. This is really easy. You have, it's I think the Apple way to do the smart home. You really have to click that and choose what you want. Also, to get the actors into the system is really easy. The thing I did not like on that solution was it's not really, you see, there's a long list, and if I'm in the living room and I want to switch up the lights, then I think that's a guest. And I want to switch up the light, then I had to start the app, and the app is really similar to that. And it was not easy to find that. So it was clear for me that I want to do something on my own, so I built up that solution. And as you can see, there is postbox Liam. That means today I got the Amazon package, yay. And I'm not at home currently. And what I can do is I can just say where I am. So for example, the Erdgeschoss, and then the Wohnzimmer, living room, and then you see all the stuff I have in that room, and I can switch it on and off. So just to prove how that works, I have also that administration stuff where I can say I want to have a new button, and this runs on a Raspberry Pi, which is located at my home. I give it a name, League of Geeks button. Which room is that? Should Gong, Erdgeschoss, yes. Then which type I want to have? I just want to have a simple button. Yes, a simple button. And now I can give it a text, do, and I can call the webhook. And the webhook is the stuff which I created before. Via an API, I'm calling to my smart home and get all these possible webhooks. And now you could help me if somebody sees that League of Geeks. This. Okay. And save. So this is something which really is very easy. And now, if I go to this Erdgeschoss Gong, then I have League of Geeks button, and here's the button. And when I press that button, then I go back to the dashboard. I think the light the light is gone. So this I created on my own because, in my opinion, it was not the best solution which Homey provided here for the daily use. And what I'm going to improve for this year is room detection. So I'm really annoyed to go here on the burger menu and say where I am, because my house should know where I am. And then when I start the web app, then it should say, yes, you're at the living room, but I only show you the switches and the stuff which is in the living room, and that is the thing I would prefer. And this is my big goal for this year. So let's have a look back to the presentation, and I do not know. Give me a minute. So this is the self-written UI and the whole world lights webhook. So that's I wanted to show, and I think if I can here put the button, I think that was the whole presentation. Yes. So if there's any questions, now it's your time. Any questions? Yes,
would it be different if you build your house kind of new? So do you have electricity everywhere that you can use, or do you use hell batteries everywhere?
That's a very good question. As I said, I built up my house 8 years ago, and when I built up the house, I stood in front of the decision: should I put in a boost system, which is everything is cabled and so, or do I want to have Windows? I talked to my wife, and she was from Windows, so no, I do not have that stuff. But I'm not sad about that. So the first years I thought, it would so be cool if everything would be connected. But if you see at all the stuff, if you look at the iPhone, every cable is gone. There is no, the earpods, everything is without cables. Everything is with Wi-Fi. So it's my holy opinion that also the smart home future is wireless. So I think, no, it's not a problem, and I'm not sad about that, because everything I wanted to do, there is nothing which I could not realize at the moment, and everything was wireless, so no problem here. Yeah.
Is your wife here?
No.
Does she still talk to you?
Yes.
Because I installed some smart lights at home, and so overall, I mean, even though I really like this technology stuff, even I have to agree with my girlfriend that we're not so happy with this system overall. So we have a lot of times the app is not reactive and so on. So I wonder how you feel about that. I mean, you can demo it and it's nice, it works, but how is it really like the usability?
So as a daily driver. The thing is, two answers. Is you told about the light system, so it's something like Hue or something like that, okay? In my opinion, Hue has a big problem because when you have the Hue system, you have that remote switch where you can put on the table, you can lose it in the couch, or you can just put it on the wall. But as soon as the main switch is switched off, the whole system does not work. So Hue is good for people that want to have some fancy light or so on, but in my opinion that is not the perfect solution for lights. And I do not know, I do not have a Hue. What I use is a Drahtfree from IKEA, so, but same issue there. But the thing is, the most important, and this is really the most important thing I can tell you, is when your smart home is going to die, or when your smart home is really really fucked up, your house has to work. So you should be able to switch on the lights, even if even the smart home is down. So and this is really rule number one, which I built up my house. So my wife at the first moment did not like that. She, how do I say? But as time goes by, she uses more and more and more of that stuff. So, especially the voice assistant with Spotify and whatnot. So this is something, I think you have to get used to it. And if this is the thing which is not working for you perfectly, then take another, another issue, because it's worth it. Yeah.
Are you actually able to save money using smart home? Or do you need more? Save money, I mean money and energy, but do you need more energy?
That's a good point. Save money is difficult because all these devices cost money. So, but as I told before, saving energy and so on is really a very important thing, but it was not my first or number one topic. So I have no KPIs where I can say that's now better than before. But I cannot answer the question. I do not know. But what I can do is, or what is on the plan for this year, the washing machine is going to run only if the sun is shining, for example. Though I have a photovoltaic stuff on my house, so these are stuff that I'm going to realize this year, but I cannot say if I'm saving money. Sorry. Yes. Any question?
You've shown your webcam in front of your front door.
I did not, but I can do.
So you have a webcam at your front door?
Yes, I do.
Now, what I would be interested in is
okay.
the contract or negotiation you had with your postal worker. Because obviously you had to agree to the firm every day.
Yes, the agreement was such a...
So I guess you can talk about it because of legal reasons.
Of course. And there is some sticker on my letterbox which says there's a camera. Look up.
Okay, so for security reasons.
Yeah, for security reasons. Thank you, man. Thank you for that important question. Okay, any other questions?
The sensors are all for the Homey product. The sensors you're using are especially for the Homey product, or is different?
No, this is the reason why I liked Homey. Homey is some kind of stackable cubes. So I have the main cube, which is just Wi-Fi. I can talk to all the devices that are Wi-Fi compatible. And then I can stack it up. I can, for example, stack a Zigbee cube. Then I can talk to Drahtfree, to Hue and whatnot. And then I can stack up a Z-Wave cube. That means there are thousands of Z-Wave devices out there. You can buy cheap ones from Chinese shops. Don't do that because they get broke very soon. And you can, from Amazon, you can just buy whatever it is. Just it talks to the Z-Wave protocol, and then you can just do everything which talks to the protocol. So it's very open in that way.
Okay, and the system will be developed only by one company, or is there different companies that will?
No, it's one company. It's a German company in Stuttgart. It's called Code Atelier, and they are doing that, and they are doing really good. There's a release every month. Beta, you can get 2 weeks earlier, and I like the product a lot.
And the infrastructure is only working in your house, and if then and so on is working in your house, or have you connection with the internet?
The thing is, Homey itself, it works in two ways. You can say, okay, I just want to leave it in my house, then you cut the internet connection or the how do you say, the connection to the VPN server of Homey, and then you can just use that screen which I showed to you in your local network. Here. So you can use that in your local network, and as soon as you say no, I want to have a connection outside, then it's also available out there. I think people like we are, we can do our VPN tunnel by our own, so we can also use that outside our house with our own VPN tunnel, but yeah, both things are possible.
But the logic is running in your house. If you got
the logic is running, the logic is...
Telecom has a problem, that never happens, but...
Yeah, the logic is completely running my house, the Homey grams, and all you see is really in my house. Even if I have no internet connection, everything works. Beside the situation, I'm connected to really some IFT services or services outside, or some cloud services. But yeah, I think everybody knows as soon as I connect to a cloud service, it could be the situation that it's not working. But the base, as I told the guy before, the base stuff is when your smart home is down, your house should work, and that is the case with Homey. Okay.
Just a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you have implemented the UI on the Raspberry Pi.
Yes.
The Raspberry Pi is connected to your smart home? Or is it a separate...
Somehow. The Raspberry Pi sits next to the Homey station, and it's connected because it's in the same network, so it's in the same Wi-Fi connection, but it's not connected to my smart home. What I do is everything you see here, every Homeygram, can be called by a webhook. So this is the connection I do here. So the UI you saw before just curls the webhook, and then the webhook is local, so it's based on an IP address. So everything you can do with the Pi calls my smart home and does the stuff.
Do you also use a GPIO to open doors and something else?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I do not. What's also interesting, a co-worker of us helped me to grade up the Pi. So we installed some, I don't know the English word, funk radio stuff, so I can control the very cheap 433 megahertz funk power plugs. So what I can do is really I can go to MediaMarkt or whatnot and buy 4 of these power plugs, which cost about 15 euros, and then learn it onto the Pi, and then I can use them. So this is really a cheap solution because power plugs cost about 50 euros and so on. So the Pi is also for that.
You can also call from Homey directly another webhook on your Raspberry Pi.
Yes. So the Pi is API driven and Homey is API driven or webhook driven as well, and that's the way they communicate to each other. I think there was a question.
How does the system know whether you are at home or not? Does it just track the
That's a good question.
smartphone,
That struggled me as well a lot because there is, in my opinion, not a, maybe in the Apple world, but I'm in the Android world, but there is no good solution how to do that. So the Pi, what the Pi does, every minute there is a cron job which pings my smartphone, and if my smartphone just responds, it says, yes, you're at home, and if not, then I'm not at home. So this is, and what the result is, if the ping is successful or not, a webhook is triggered to my smartphone, which then said if I'm at home or not. So this is how I solved that. I cannot, with Grease Monkey or whatnot, I could just hide that, but any other questions? Yeah.
Does it work with Alexa?
Of course it does. What you have here in the settings, if I'm able to, here. Sorry. So here you see it's Alexa with Alexa connect and connect with Google Assistant. In my case, I connected it to Google Assistant, and what it does, it just pushes all the devices to your Google Home app or to your Alexa, blah 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 stuff. And there is an Alexa skill for Homey as well, so they have their own skill, and then you can talk to every device you want them to control.
If I don't want such a Homey tool, and just want to have a Raspberry Pi or something to control my smartphone, does this work with Alexa? Is there a way to control that?
Of course it is. There are several software-based software-based solutions, as I told before. There is FIM, there is OpenHub, there is Pymatic and whatnot, and all these stuff. I think Stefan FIM, I think, has Alexa. Yes, it does. I know for Pymatic has also added on, and OpenHub, Uli, OpenHub.
Yes.
Yes.
But it's very cumbersome to configure. So I would.
But Uli can help you out. So yes, if you have a Pi, of course the connection is possible as well. Any other questions?
How are you going to make your home know where you are in the room?
Okay. Well, as I said, this is the final boss for this year. I think I'm going to realize that with iBeacons. So a beacon in every room, which tells my smartphone where I am. My smartphone tells my smartphone where I am, and as soon as I open the web app, the Pi just asks my smartphone, where is he? Says he's in the living room, and then I'm going to show up the living room commands or the living room switches. So that's the plan. Not finished yet.
Sorry, what's the beacon?
A beacon. iBeacon, this is a small device. I think shops also do use that. They are hidden somewhere, and they're just talking to your phone. I think it's Bluetooth. Not? Yeah, Bluetooth. And for example, when you go by a shop and you are connected somehow to that beacon, then you get some ads or stuff on your phone. But you can also use that in your house. So the beacon where you're nearest to says he's here, and there is a beacon for the living room, a beacon for the kitchen and whatnot. So I'm going to realize that in that way.
Do you ever turn off your smartphone?
What do you think? No, but to be honest, what I do is at 11 p.m. it goes to some kind of do not ring mode, but it's not turned off. Does anyone? Okay. Any other questions?
How does the Google Home integration work? For example, what actions can you use?
Well, there are two possibilities. The voice assistant integration with Homey was really not so fast because Homey had to send one of these towers to Google, to America, that they can just have a look and blah, 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 and that took some months. So I helped out by going with IFT. So I connected IFT to Google Home, and with IFT I called the webhooks to my Homey, and then you can do everything because every Homey ground has a webhook. So, and now where the integration is done, it's really the case that you have names for the devices, and you can also define specific names if you want to. And then there's some kind of logic, some kind of AI, I don't know, but if I say turn on the light, it works, it turns on and turn off the light. Well, it's German. But it also works if I say Markisen hochfahren, so the roller blinds go up, then they go up. So Homey tells Google Home in some way what the actions can be for the device. So it really worked from the beginning on perfectly, and I did not have to configure anything there. Spooky, isn't it?
You can try turn on the blinds.
And everything is going to explode. Okay. Good, then let's go to the lottery. So the thing for today is you can win some Google Home Mini if you want to. And let's see, Sebastian, how many How many do we have there?
4 are left. Oh no, that's
we
two
don't know
more.
which they are.
5 are left.
5 are left. Okay, so have a look at your stuff. Okay, Google.
Hi, wie kann ich dir helfen?
Nenn mir eine Zahl zwischen 1 und 50.
Geht in Ordnung. 36.
Bitte schön.
Danke dir.
So, dann haben wir noch einen Gewinner. Und wir sind fertig.
Vielen Dank.